Hello and welcome. It is currently 11:20 p.m. Eastern Time as I'm doing this video, February the 1st, 2021. My name is Derek and this is the Money Charts channel. All bets trades, and within the like, that's each's own risk and their own reward. Let's start off with the chart that I don't show very hardly much at all. That's Bitcoin to the gold ratio, or the price of Bitcoin against gold. Right now, Bitcoin costs, one of them, 18.2 ounces of gold. Generally speaking, unless gold has some sort of fabulous move, and much more fabulous than Bitcoin, of course, the Bitcoin price will determine if this goes up or down, and really to the degree of how much as well. Because gold can have these nice moves, and it has been, yet Bitcoin has been overperforming gold, and nice run from this little point on, and then it's just been going sideways so far in this early short year that has just finished its first month. Within the weekly chart, it has now broken its level of resistance, not as much against the dollar, but still has done so. So previous high of 15, it's up about 3 and change, over 20%. We're against the dollar, it's up like 60% more or whatever. But we can see within the year, gold's had a spectacular year, but you couldn't tell by this. And this year, well, that was because Bitcoin went down. So did gold, but Bitcoin went down more. Now we'll go over to gold against the dollar, and on the weekly term time frame, well, it's had a very good run since 2019, late 2018 even. From this low of near 1,200, making it to over 2,000, currently near the previous all-time highs. That was $1,900 and change back in 2011 or 2012. I think a late 2011. Well, the monthly time frame will tell me. Yeah, 2011. But right now we're holding and staying within this area right now, and within the monthly, having a correctionary move, month number 4, February. We've just finished 3. Within this nicely, highly extended rising 18 average. And next up, the ratio, gold-silver ratio. Then we'll move into silver. And I have some Fibonacci points that I drew in a decent amount of time ago. And, well, to me, it looks like we're heading down to this 53 level. Within the monthly chart, of having this a failed move up top, of course, in here. And no support within the 18 average of lows, no support within where we came from in the 23.6% Fibonacci. It did support the 38.2% once, and then it came up, had one move, unable to support on turn number 2, and now it's barely been down below this, or noticeably, another way of putting it. Consecutive red candles in a row, that being now 5 and 7 of the last 8. And really, if you consider 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 of the last 8 significant ones, when you throw these 2 out and you throw this one out as well, because they're just not yada sideways. So it's had one good up month, and the rest of them pretty much all been down. We've seen the ratio move from 125. It's pretty much cut in half almost. What's its low? We have to go like, what's the high here first of all? That would be like 126. So 63 or so would be half off, and it looks to me, yes, we've had a 50% reduction in price. So if you were to happen to be able to sell at this and get at this, you can get twice as much back. And that's, of course, you can get the correct spread. But as it goes, it does seem to me that within the move in here, had a lot of congestion, support and resisting both the move. But this was a breakdown week the previous week. And on the daily term time frame, there's that big support and a concise breakdown from that point. But as I look at this, it to me is just a statement that it's going to now go to 53 and change. I'm going to be looking at the 18 average as the level of resistance where we came from, which is now up to 70, as potential levels of resistance. Let's look at silver. And I'm going to first look at it via the Canadian dollar and then via the American dollar. $36.40 Canadian, as it was congesting as well with in here. First resisting, then supporting 32 and a quarter. And it first came down to it at the start of the Northern Hemisphere winter or autumn solstice, or fall. So September 21st, that would be the easiest way of saying it. And then it it left the area of being resistance on December the 16th to become support, and then it left support on January the 28th. So therefore, October, November, December, January, a little over 4 months of congesting within this level, and it's had that breakout over these 3 days, 28th, 29th, and February 1st. And a lot of this happens to do with this Reddit issue. How powerful and how big this is going to be, I hope it is. And of course, time will only tell, but it's now coming up close to some previous levels of resistance. And on the monthly term time frame, this has been nice excitation of the 18 average of highs now in this area, which is most certainly going to be weak resistance in my book. I define weak resistance as something that's not got a good chance of going down much. Whether there might not be resistance at all, then we'll just probably have a very big, concise move and probably huge, like $40, $50 going fast. I bought some more silver. I'm still a buyer. I'm still buying. I bought silver most recent time, a couple hours ago. I bought a few dozen ounces of silver. But what I see is if it's going to go up, this is just going to break it monstrously huge. Now, if it's weak resistance, again, that maybe we congest at this area or resist it in support, maybe 35 or 34, even come down, maybe only support like this area around 32. So it only has like maybe like a 15, 20, 25% correction, which is not much of a move. That's the type of thing that I would define as weak resistance. And then maybe moderate resistance I'd be expecting here, especially on a fast move. In the short term, it'd be strong resistance at the previous high of around $48, $47, $48 within that price. Let's take a look at this against the US fiat currency. And I got some big Fibonacci here as well within the monthly. As we come up to it, we hit this would be a 61.8% Fibonacci from this high to this low. It got above the 38.2 with well, it almost hit resistance here. Not really, no, because the support's from this low. No resistance on the first one. And when I talk about when you're not getting resistance or support, where you're supposed to expect a concise, and like this case, sometimes and maybe usually, but definitely concise move to next key level. And most certainly this was resistance. Comes back and supports the 18 average of highs and has now had a nice lift back to previous high. So it's at that area of weak resistance on this time frame, on this against the US dollar. And this is, to me, just a very, very strong setup situation that this looks poised and ready for a big, big, monstrous breakout. Again, one of the many reasons why I decided to add just a few more ounces of silver to my collection. And yeah, I just like all this this look. Now, as far as silver is concerned, if you don't own it, you don't own it. So you don't hold it. You don't own it. I'm going to be very curious. There's going to be a lot of people. I think they're going to have maybe a lot of problems within that of the. A lot of people call it the paper game. I guess I should use it for understanding because you probably understand what I mean. I'm like paper is so passe, and even as I was growing up and when I was 8 years old, so that's in the 80s, 7 years old. Here I am seeing the excitation really of the paper game. I do remember writing deposits at banks and writing checks, but you know what? That's passe as well. Now, as far as holding silver, I have worked really hard to earn this silver. And then I guess I do need to get me another safe for, I will be adding a 10-ounce bar that I'll just stick in the back in there. 5 nice Pac-Man coins, which will go in this one. There's about 5 or 6 coins that can be added to it, so that would be the last mini one that needs to be full, as well as a roll, a 25, another roll, and I have no spot places to put these rolls in. But as it goes, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. You want to make sure that it's protected in a very safe spot. And these are cool. I call these silver marbles. I wanted to buy like a bunch of these, but they were taxed though. I wanted to buy like 11 of them. 11 ounces, that is. 10 for investment purposes and 1 for just fooling around with and opening and playing with. And I've barely even done this, but it weighed like barely like 1.004 or something, or 1.002. And then these yellow ones I got a lot of rolls of maples. prescription bottles. They can work well for 50-cent pieces. Just something to keep your eye on. And I like my bars as well. It's just sorted little rounds in there as well. Some of the kilo bar here and some kilo coins in the back and bags of miscellaneous constitutional pieces, we'll call them. And also got some of them. There's a roll of Canadian quarters, some roll of Canadian nickels as well. And again, the $50 is a bunch in there. And that would be the silver, or some of the silver that I have. That doesn't include my numismatic collection, and a whole bunch of other Canadian maple milers, and a few other ones, my gold. Although I should put my gold, that's in another one. So I actually got 2 safes. I gotta get a third one now. My other one's even smaller than that, which has got the rest of my stuff in. Plus I got miscellaneous small amounts of things here and there. Again, the numismatic coins, there's not one piece of numismatic in there. And when you hold stuff like that yourself, I mean, I've always been one, and I got my old pictures that I had, and I haven't seen these pictures in decades, but I can remember what they look like, where I'm like sitting on like a child, like as a child, like a 6-year-old, on a stairway, and it was like a Christmas, and I got all my different gifts and my paper rectangles and everything all around, and I just remember like back when I was getting the choice, or having the choice of, do I hold it myself or do I have a bank hold it? Even as a kid, I knew like 7 cents, 20 cents interest, that's like garbage. And I never really have liked the banks too much overall as it is. When I look at stuff like they call it Interac, or debit payment, I guess, in Canada, when you use your bank card to buy purchases. And I'm going back to the 90s here. And during that time frame, I don't know what I don't know if it wasn't really that easier for me to use a bank card. Cash is just so damn easy to use. So I would just rather have it in my pocket, and I know where to store my paper rectangles. And of course, I don't store them with my silver. I store them in a different spot. My private keys for cryptocurrencies, though. I mean, there's so many different spots that you have to do it. But I think that's a very, very important thing too, as well. But anyway, as we can look at this on the short-term time frame, if there's going to be any correction moves, I'm not going to go through it, but there'd be Fibonacci from, oh, geez, which one would I choose? Fibonacci from like 2477 I would use. I'll calculate it, I suppose. 2477. This looks like a 30 even spot. I'm going to just do 30 and 2475. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the number 30 and I'm going to add 2 decimals just for pennies. Divided by 2475 to the root of, I want 23.6, 38.2, 61.8, and 76.4. So on the way down, we're looking first at 28.67, followed by 27.87. And it's right at that 28.67 mark in here that coincides with this line that I've already drawn in. So we've been seeing some support within that, and it looks like the first level is breaking down from we supported the first time. And if we go down to it, then again, next up is the next level, 27.87. And then whatever you want with those numbers from in there, you can do with. But that would mean going down to like in here, coming down to where we came from down in here. I would expect to go to 27.50, considering you would expect it would pierce extra on the next leg. If it's going to do that, then be another support test there. It might hold, it might not. And if it doesn't support there, or a future support tests don't hold, then the next level below that, 26 2/3, or 26.5 with the pierce extra. But there'd be no way I would own well over 100 pounds worth of silver if I wasn't confident that it can do what it's supposed to do. And I think, of course, that is protect your investments, protect your buying power. And really, it's also a vote with your own money. Same with the cryptocurrencies and what you do with it, how you save it, and all those sort of deals. I believe that's my way of within. Anyway, that's how I see it as. And we look at the movement that's been going on for so many years, just buying the physical commodity. That's been real. I mean, that I think that does go a long way, and a lot of us who have been doing it, I think, would be rewarded gracefully for doing such a venture. Now that's my belief anyway. Okay, so let's now flip on to cryptocurrencies. And we'll start off within Bitcoin against the dollar. Again, extended on the monthly term time frame very, very nicely. Overextended, starting to become so. Yeah, okay. And within here, now it was really overextended on the weekly. No, not as much, but it is extended well because it's above the 18 highs. But there's been 2 red down months and this little sideways one, and so far not doing so much here. Correcting through price and a little bit, barely a microscopic amount of price and microscopic amount of time. So in such, it's not as extended. In fact, before it was the weekly time frame way overextended, the monthly not so much. Now the monthly chart is more overextended, and the daily chart is in a firm correctionary base. An attempt to break out here on January the 29th, obviously it failed, but it's been correcting successfully ever since for 4 days, and who knows if it's going to break above the highs or the lows and have its next little move. Support is monstrous between each 30,000 and it pierced down to 29,000 to 30. Resistance, because of this move in here and was already in that area before, we got a range between 38,000 to 42. And then from this point on, the range of the current one, you look at the shorter term range, we got like resistance, I mean, big time, like right in here, which is like 34,600 and change. And then that would make up to the next key level of 38,500. Okay, so overall, not much more to go over about this, but Bitcoin is doing very, very well, of course. And now let's move on to Theta against the dollar. $2.18 almost. And I guess we'll go from longer term to start. Not much monthly data. I mean, all I got is this sideways move upwards above the 18 average, lifting off from the highs on the start of December. We had a pause month in January, and so far we've only just finished the first day. So far up 14% for the month, though. And, you know, a lot of times people hope for 14% for the year, and they're really happy with that, just saying. Weekly chart, we see this move on December the 14th, 3 consecutive nice weeks up. Beautiful. So we break resistance of what was a big price back then of 77 cents. And then it goes right up to a high of 2.5. And I was calling and it didn't happen, it still could. And I think it's going to be a lot more, like close to who knows, closer to 4. Like $3 and good change. That's what I was expecting. It never happened, of course. But it never really went down either. It went down, the lowest it went down to was like $1.49, 144. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive weeks of correcting through time. Markets can correct one of 2 ways, and that's price and or time. And there really wasn't much for price there, just a little bit on this one here, but yeah, pretty much just time. And even now, it's still got to get above really the previous like 2 and 4 nines, 244. On the daily chart, it's firmly in correctionary phase. An attempt to break out on January 25th, 26th, and it decided no on 27. It's barely now gotten above this on February the 2nd, which is just 18 minutes away from me being into the 2nd because it's 11:42 p.m. the day before. There actually is one time of the day, like 5 to 7 a.m. I think it is, but it's actually 3 days going on at the same time, 5 to 7 a.m. in the morning Eastern time. Probably didn't know that. I didn't know that until like a few days ago, weeks ago. Okay, anyway, 4-hour chart. We have this high and this low. And this low is higher than this one, higher than this one, higher highs, higher lows. Well, higher lows. Since this high, it's been big resistance battle. We can see, I have to put this line right because it matches these highs, piercing extra here. The big levels like 2.22, all the 2s basically, which is where it's approaching today's intraday high. 227, so another test within that level. So it's a statement at this stage. It's either a successful breakout or a failed breakout. If this becomes a failed breakout, it probably won't go too much higher. It probably has already reached its high. Price action will come down lower than the 18 average of lows, and holding at around $2 is very important. Seeing any type of breakdown signals below $2, that's not a good sign. Of course, we're at 217. It's going to do a bunch of things to just do that. That's a failed breakout. A successful breakout means it's going to go up, and maybe will go down before it goes up or not. But if it does, that means you go up and you correct successfully a 61.8%, maybe only 38.2, but you're going to hold the 61.8 from this low to the high. Big resistance we had between like 206 down to like 2 even. Maybe it comes down to there before. Do you see any evidence on this on the short term? I mean, look at this move on the 1. All of the strength amongst the 18 average of highs for about 10 or 12 so consecutive periods. And then all of a sudden, on the 22-hour stamp, just a fantastic move. On the 15-minute term time frame, do we see any evidence? Well, not really. Maybe. We've established this level of support. If you start to see a breakdown, then maybe. But now we have this. I don't know what this move means. It could be the start of something fantastic. It could be someone buying that's because they know something that's going to happen next week, and that's when the move happens too. Again, this is something long term. I'm very confident with that. This is a very significant holding for me. As is silver too, and so a bunch of other ones too. But I realize that Theta has got a good chance for significant moves moving forward. And let's finish this off within Ripple. This has been a crazy moving fund. Today went up to about 75 cents. It's currently at 38, so it's lost half its value intraday. And just a few days ago, it was down to like 24 cents, so it's up like better than 50% from this just a few days ago as well. So it's down 50% and up 50% at the same time. How do you do kind of deal? Volatility, can you say? Yeah. I was able to sell a little bit near the high areas, not as much as I'd like to because of when it happened. You can, like 5 in the morning, I sleep at that time. But I was able to get some of it as on its way down when I was waking up. Nonetheless, it is what it is. And there's been some volatile moves within Ripple, of course. I mean, it got back to its previous highs here from before where it was. So that was very interesting. Very interesting. So if it's able to rebound from this rally on any type of good hold and recover, makes this higher or low, and basically hold around 31 cents, that would be just a huge ordeal. But we've had such a major correctionary move intraday that it's got into, I mean, this is a big move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bunch down, then sideways, a bit more down, and then now it's resisting where it's supported here. That's it's got a long ways to go, and then you really got to see it have a clear break of a 61.8% resistance of the high is 72.6 cents divided by whatever the low happens to be right now. It is 34 points. We'll just say 300. We'll go 341 for pennies. I'm going to do the calculator again, and 755. And I'm just going to go so as far as the key levels are concerned, we're looking at it's got to right now if it makes a lower low, then the number does reduce, but it's got to show breakout signals above 56 cents with this number coming in here. So it's got to first get up to this level, and then it's got to show strength amongst it even further, because it can make a rally up here, then sell off, make the lower high, and then we're talking about retracement from this low to this high. We're down to like 44 cents, lower highs, higher lows, okay, indecision. It's got to break it, yada. So that's why just waiting for that type of situation in there to occur for it. On the weekly, again, this is just, let me just finish this off within the monthly chart. As it goes, when you look at the very long term of this, in 2017, it has its run going from Basically a little over a half a penny, 2/3 of a penny. And then quick move up to 36 cents. That's like 40, 50, 50x, whatever. And it does it in 3 months. How do you do? Question mark. For a lot of people that are holding it, pretty damn good. Many months of going sideways, then extends the gain to like $2 and change. So we go from fractions of a dollar to 250, or penny rather, fractions of a penny to over 250 of them. Down to 15 pennies, up to 75, down to 38. So if you start to see this breakout to $1, well, now we're probably going to go to $2 to $3. Not much there after that. So $1 might be psychological big number, but it means absolutely garbage to me. I would believe it would probably go much higher if it's able to have any type of moves going in that direction. To me, it's either yes or no. Like, I mean, there's only one and or two places this is going to go. And that is pretty much nothing and down here. Or it's just going to not only go up here, but then go higher than that as well. Hit or miss. So risk-reward management. Mathematically, if you bet on any type of situation and you got it at 0.38 units and you're expecting to like, where it can go to like 6 and change, 7. So 3.8 would be 10 times. 20 times would be 7.6. We have 15x. If you were to bet something for a 15 times return, if you could do this and you're right like 10, 12, 15% of the time, you're doing damn well. Because you got to be right 1 in 15 times on a 15x wager to break even. Because you're pretty much in a spot. These are the type of funds that, I mean, you can day trade them in many different ways. And of course, it's magnificent within this volatility, especially lately. I mean, the volatility was crap before, and it's been especially in here. But you, when you have the type of moves, you pretty much either see it go to nothing or you have the big. That's just a strategy. I think if you feel the odds are in your favor, the risk management is you lose everything, or you're gonna sell it if it loses half or 60%. How many people are gonna sold on the way down, and here are gonna be for any of these funds that do this coins, and they're just gonna be regretting it because it goes back higher. How many people sold Bitcoin back at 4,000, 5,000, 6,000? Like, oh crap, why did I do that? I sold Theta at 20 cents, 15 cents. Why did I do that? And then will people be rejecting selling Theta or Ripple at 38 cents right now? Maybe. Maybe they'll end up being happy. That's it. Risk reward management. The reward management is, of course, what you get up top. And then part of reward management is, okay, if it gets to this level, I'll have this much of an equity. One of the things I like to do with coins, if you expect big gains too, is if a coin goes up 2x, you got little ammo as far as having some fun in ways of, one, you could sell half your position, and then you have half as many coins or shares of something that was worth the same as it was when you bought it, and you pretty much got a free roll the rest of the way. But that's, again, you have limited options. If you got a 4x move, this is where I think it becomes fun. Because now what you can do if you have a coin like this is you play it, and then you have a move, and maybe you can do a thing like you can sell 1/4 of it and do the same thing, and then you have a good portion. One of the things you can do is maybe you want to ratio trade with another coin back and forth, but you want to start doing it when it has a big gain, and it goes higher, and then buy something that's been disliked and not loved, basically, or down so much, and then a spot like that is, okay, maybe I sell 1/4 of it, and I buy ABC, whatever coin that you want to buy, a different one, and then 1/4 of it as well, I'll allocate. So if I bought, say, 1,000 of what originally, I'd sell 250 on the market and buy ABC. Then I take 250 of it and I just allocate to trade with it. So then when coins go up or down, whatever, the ratio, say the ratio is 10 to 1. If it goes up to 14 or goes down to 6, then I'm going to buy and sell accordingly. And I'd still be left with the half of my position after doing something like this. And maybe I can hold it for another play, or maybe I can take half of this again. I can sell it for cash. I'd still hold it for. So now I would basically sell half of my position With half of it, I would maybe just profit take it, put it back in cash or something. The other half goes into ABC of that, which leaves me, of course, and that's just and then we have 8x gains. You can just be creative and do a whole bunch of cool things. Because maybe you can do this twice. Maybe you can take if you have an 8x gain, maybe you take a quarter of these coins again into two. So you have maybe 1/8 and 1/8. So 1/8 into ABC and 1/8 into DEF kind of deal. And then you take another 1/8 and 1/8 to pair trade with it, which is half, and then so on and so forth. Just creativity, risk reward management, understanding what you're doing, I think can be very, very helpful. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.